You've seen me introduce you to Both Hands for basically as long as this show has been going on, but now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing you to the man behind the ministry, my friend JT Olson. JT, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I love that we get to sit down. We get to do a lot together. Our girls are friends, but you have such an amazing ministry, but there's a really interesting story that happened in your life. Can you give us just an insight into, kind of how you grew up and what led you to start Both Hands?
Well, I guess it started, well, I was doing a fundraiser for an organization in town, a golf fundraiser, where you mail letters out and you say, would you sponsor me while I golf? And I had a friend who sent my letter back to me, did not include a check. He just scribbled on my letter. He said, JT, if you told me you were working on a widow's house, I might sponsor you. But you're just golfing. Nice cause, but not my money.
Interesting.
Hurt my feelings a little bit, but I thought, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And the idea just never left me. Whenever I saw a 5K or a golf tournament after that, I kept thinking, if all those people were working on a widow's house, would it be more effective? Would it be better? I just couldn't figure it out until a couple years later. I'm in church running a good friend of mine. Hadn't seen him in a couple months. I said, hey, Don, what's up? And he said, I'm adopting 4 kids from Moldova. And Don already has 3 kids at home.
Wow. And
I said, what happened? And he said, well, I was on a mission with Sweet Sleep delivering beds to orphanages in Moldova and fell in love with this little boy, George. And we became inseparable throughout the week. When I got home, he said, I started the adoption process, and we found out that in the process, George has 3 siblings.
Wow.
And we're not going to break up the siblings.
Sure.
And I've adopted, our 5th child's adopted, and I knew it was going to be expensive. I said, Don, how much is this going to cost? He said, oh, they're telling us $70,000 or $80,000. And I said, do you have any idea how you're going to raise that money? And he said, no. And I said, I think I got an idea. And so Don and I, we put together some friends, about 14 or 15 of us, and we all sent letters out to everyone we knew. And we said, would you sponsor me while I work on this widow's house? Yeah. All the money I raise will go towards the cost of this adoption. So it's 2 separate things. We found a widow in Franklin. Got all the supplies we needed donated by local merchants because everyone liked the idea.
Right.
And when we spent the day working on Miss Lucille's house, and it was just it was an amazing day. It was so much fun. I think about 35 people showed up. And when it was all over said and done, after a couple months, all the money came in, we had raised right around $70,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's unheard of. And I don't want to give too much of the story away, but you come from a unique background yourself. You lost your own parents. So this is a passion project for you.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 12 years old, I lived on a farm in northeastern Iowa. And there was 5 of us kids. One weekend, my mom and dad left to celebrate their 16th wedding anniversary. And us kids were kind of farmed out to different places. And I remember Saturday night being brought home and, because mom and dad were coming home. And I was dirty. I played in the barn all day that day, so I had to go in the basement and change. My other brother went in the front door. But I remember sitting in the basement unlacing my boots, and my brother came down the basement stairs, and I looked up at him and I said, are Mom and Dad home? And he looked at me and he said, Mom and Dad are dead.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, what? He said, Mom and Dad are dead. They were killed in a car accident an hour ago. And he turned around and walked upstairs. I mean, he had just heard himself. He was just processing it.
Yeah, how do you process that as a 12-year-old?
Well, the way I did that point, I hit that cement floor crying. It was just, for the next 10, 15 minutes, just crying all alone on that basement floor, thinking about my mom and dad. And I mean, I know what it's like to be an orphan. I know what it's like to hear those words. I know what it's like to wonder what's going to happen, who's going to take care of us.
Yeah.
But I also know what it's like to be rescued, because 3 months before the accident, my mom and dad and my aunt and uncle changed their wills, that if anything would happen to one of them, the other couple would take them. My aunt and uncle lived in a really nice suburb of Milwaukee called Brookfield. They had 3 kids of their own. They took all 5 of us.
Amazing. I know the story, I've heard it before, and it still moves me. There's so much more I want to ask you, including what happened with you and Don, how people can help. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back to tell you more about Both Hands and the Vision Project coming up on July 12th.